Hello, my friends. We meet again. We are going to continue our way through our cartoon unit. I'm going to show you a couple cool tricks you can use to kind of understand how to stack shapes and use shading in Illustrator. I'm going to be making a shark, but if you really want to push yourself and attempt this with another toothed sea creature like an orca or a whale, or perhaps a dolphin without the teeth, you could certainly do that. However, I'm going to be looking for, are you using the same techniques to go about your image? So you guys would start with a screen that looks a little bit like this. As always, make sure you're in inches, not points. 11 by 8.5 is fine. I'm not going to create a new one because I'm going to use the colors from this one. So I'm actually going to slide to the right and make a new artboard that matches up with this one, hopefully. Okay, so I've got my new artboard. I'm going to create a new layer, just as you should. This is going to be my background layer, so I'm going to call it background. Back around, apparently. And this will have a different path color than my other layers over here, which is super helpful. First things first, I'm going to make my background square. As I mentioned before, you do not have a fill function in Illustrator, not like you do in Photoshop anyway. Everything is based off of shapes. Be prepared for shapes to become your new deity. You're going to come into your fill. Again, you can change the color by double-clicking on that lovely box. And I'm going to go with kind of a light blue for now. I'll show you later how to make that into a gradient, but we're not worried about that. Maybe a little more towards teal. Too bright. That's probably a good color. And I'm going to make my rectangle. If you just click, it will give you the opportunity to make a rectangle that is a certain size. So maybe I want 11. We're going to see if my artboard is the right size. By 8.5. Did I measure right? No. That's okay. We still love Basham anyway. So I'm just going to drag it out and make it match that way. I'll probably change that color here in a minute. I'm a finicky person. So I've got my water. This is the very background. You kind of have to think in terms of stacking things. Next step, I'm going to start to create this kind of like rocky terrain. And I'm going to do that using a combination of the shape tools and the pencil tools. So I'm going to make sure my background is deselected. I'm also going to lock that shape. I'm going to go up to Object, Lock, Selection, because nothing drives me crazier than when I'm trying to do stuff and my background shape moves. Oops, what did I do? Command Z? I think I just full screened it. That's all. Maybe we should not do that. Anyway, let's zoom in so you can see. Hang on. Why did I full screen it? Why did I have to hit that F button? Maybe if I hit the F button again. Oh, that was worse. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties, but not in the way you would think. Moving right along, I'm going to choose kind of like a light colored gray. I'm just going to pull it off of here. If you're super into making things exactly the same, there's the hex code. However, you all know I don't like cookie cutters, so if you really want a different gray, go for it. And I'm going to start by making a gray rectangle. Fantastic. It looks beautiful. It doesn't look like the rocky floor of the ocean. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come in with my pencil tool and I'm going to start to draw on top of this rectangle. This is just a basic building block for you. So I have to start on the line of the path, and this is where it's useful, guys. 1, to zoom in. 2, to work with a mouse so you have a steady hand. We finally have wireless mice. Isn't it exciting? So I'm going to start on that path. And even I have trouble staying on that path. And I'm going to kind of dip down, come back up, maybe come to a point. We want this rocky, craggy looking sort of situation. And I do have to make sure I return to that path. And if you don't do it right, that happens. And this is my fault because I did not start directly on the path. So I really want to make sure I am following straight along there. Hands are not steady today. And just kind of singing a song, coming along, making some rocks. And return to the path. That's better. It's a little bit too smooth for my liking. Fun fact, if you double click on the tools, you can bring up their settings. You can change the size and such. I don't know that I necessarily want this so smooth. This is the fidelity. Why won't it let me change the fidelity? We're not sure. Unsure. It should let me change the fidelity so I could get my shaky shakies in there. But, we'll work with it. I'm going to edit a couple of these just to make them a little more interesting. There we go. That's a little bit better. Cool, 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 cool. Same trick, different shade. I'm going to be working off linear perspective, meaning things get lighter as they get further away from you and darker as they come towards you. So I'm going to start by making a rectangle that is similar to this one, similar shade. I'm going to double click on my color, and I'm going to stay within the same color family. Like, there are different shades of gray. If you go in, notice that's not the same gray. So I want to stay in that same family, and that's going to be really important for the rest of your critter. But that way I have something that makes sense. And once more, I'm going to take my pencil tool and attempt to show you how to make it look real cool. I'm going to start on the outside this time, follow along with that path, and start to dip down, up and around, and join that path. As I let go, it's a little bit like that. And last but not least, I've got my bottom layer. If I really want to, I can freehand this with the pencil tool. If you like starting with the shape, that's fine too. Staying in the same color family. I just have to make sure I close my shape when I do this. And this will be stuff you'll have to crop off later. I'm going to change that from no stroke to a stroke. And that's already bothering me, so we're going to make it smaller. Notice it will distort a little bit and creep up the edge, but I'm okay with that. It's just the ground. I do not like that little bit there. So I'm actually going to use the Add Anchor Point tool to add another anchor point to that spot so I can stretch down. Stretchy, stretchy. Pointy, pointy. And there's the basics for my background. I'm going to lock this layer because this is pretty much done for now. I can start to add other things on top of it. So let's make sure that's locked.